Hi Pisces, it's time for a reading for you for April 2021. And so that's what I'm going to do right now. I've been shuffling forever, it seems, but here I am still shuffling a little bit because I want to make sure everything is super well mixed. I have been shuffling for a long time, but I do like to make sure that I shuffle very thoroughly because otherwise everything always comes out the same. And then even when you shuffle like a mad fool, sometimes that happens anyway because it was meant to be. So I shuffle for probably 20 minutes. Ooh, the High Priestess popped out. We'll take her and we will dive in. I'm just going to do a little 12 card spread for you. See what's going to happen this month. Well, I didn't do that very well, did I? Not even leaving myself room for the rest of the cards. Well, this is a little bit of a different reading. A little bit of a mix. Okay, so the High Priestess. The High Priestess is a nice female power card and reminds us to go within and listen to our intuition. And Pisces, you are a very intuitive person, I'm sure, because most Pisces are. Not to say you can't be an exception, but I found that most Pisces are very intuitive in my life. And the High Priestess will always remind you to go within and gain some inner wisdom and be very introspective and look at yourself and get in touch with yourself and that inner wisdom. So she's a great card. I really like the High Priestess. It's not one of my personal favorite cards. I don't want to lie here because I have a couple very specific personal favorites, but it's a great female power card and a very good card in general. This card looks far worse than it is. It's such a sad looking card, but it's not really as serious as it looks. This fellow could not look sadder. He's in mourning to the biggest degree anybody ever could be, because there are 3 cups that have overturned here, which, represent 3 things that have happened that aren't so great, maybe some missed opportunities, maybe things that didn't go exactly as planned. So we're very, very sad here about this. But right behind him, he's got 2 cups standing up, and they're all fine and wonderful, and they need attention and, not to be ignored while we're being all sad about the spilled cups. So this spilled milk card is, one that comes up often. I've been getting it a lot lately, and for good reason, because I've been kind of doing that, kind of being upset about things I've done in life and opportunities that I could have made sure happened and didn't. And, there's really not a whole lot I can do about it now. And same with you. I mean, don't worry about that. Turn around and look at what you've got and deal with that, because that's what's really important at this point in time. You don't have to be sad about the past. Everybody has learning experiences, and, depending on what it is, hopefully there are still things you can do that, will give you all the gratification that you are trying to get out of this life. So no more of this mourning. You're not there yet. You're alive and kicking, and you should be not being so sad about something from the past. This is a fun card. I say that even though it often has to do with arguments. Um, Sometimes it can be like a training exercise with kids learning to do something. This card kind of represents the sticks, learning to play with them in sort of a play fight, representing swords. But sometimes it means something like that depending on what's around it. Um, the King of Swords has intellectual capabilities and capacities, so there could be some kind of training thing here. But I'm going to say, just off the top of my head, that it has more to do with arguing. So if you have any arguments going on these days that, conflict, some kind of conflict, could be a work conflict, something in action, could be a social conflict. I don't know. you're all different. I'm doing a general reading, so I can't really kind of latch on to one particular thing that might be. I have to throw out a few options. Some kind of conflict, could be some kind of negative banter, argumentative kind of banter. Whatever it is, hopefully you know what it is. And the King of Swords is a king who's very judicious, very decisive, a little cold and calculating, but a good guy. Very, very smart, very intellectual, always learning. Um, Perhaps it's somebody you know. And if it is, then that sort of eliminates the rest. But if it isn't, then it could be a facet of your personality, or it could be something you need to embrace to perhaps put something in action. For example, if you are the kind of person who's so emotional that it would stop you from taking a particular action or being decisive about something, the cooler nature of the king might be more helpful than to get overly emotional about, something that's a practical matter. That's just one example, but it could be anything like that. And then we've got, I have not gotten this card in quite a while, which I'm, thrilled to have it because it's been a while since I've seen you. Um, Sometimes people call this a card of boredom, like the fellow who's sitting here under the tree is bored. His mind is kind of wandering. He's staring at these three cups here, and this floating cup that he's ignoring or not seeing sometimes is referred to as an opportunity he might be missing. And I always sort of see this card that way. Like, it's just kind of a reminder to, look around you at what you might be missing, opportunity wise, something that is right in front of you that you could notice and give your attention to that might be very important. It's not a bad card, it's just a reminder to look and see what you have or what you could possibly have. This card I've had a lot lately in various readings, and it's the Nine of Pentacles. It's a lovely card. It's a happy looking woman in her garden, all surrounded by nature and beauty, and there's a bird on her hand, and she's, um, hanging out with nature, and, she looks very peaceful. She's prosperous, healthy, a very good card. All good things. This can all be yours, or maybe it already is, which would even be better. This card is, such a mixed bag of stuff. Or pardon me, not card, this reading, which is really kind of interesting because usually they're not quite this mixed and it's kind of all over the place, but it's basically a good reading. This card is always a little sad because you're tormented by your own thoughts. You're worrying about something. You're stressed to the max. And, swords represent air or thoughts or the intellect, and you can change your thinking. You don't have to torment yourself. Nothing is this bad. Don't beat yourself up. You're very compassionate to others, Pisces, so you do not have to allow yourself to be tormented this way. You don't deserve it. You don't need it. And try to think in a more positive way. I mean, sometimes that doesn't eliminate it totally, but you're a very strong-minded person. You definitely can get rid of this. I know you can. The Hermit, like the High Priestess, is about going within and seeking out your inner knowledge and wisdom. I know that sounds a little bit difficult. If you don't know how to do that, meditation is good. To be honest with you, I don't meditate. I don't have time to meditate. It's not my personal thing, but I know a lot of people who get a lot from it. What I do instead of this going within thing, although I do evaluate things a lot, and of course I'm always thinking about all of these concepts in the cards because I've been exposed to it my entire life, and I read cards. My mother read cards. I mean, I've always been involved in this my entire life. But my idea of going within is to do a workout and let my mind just sort of do its own thing, or to, take a walk, or to do something where I'm actually accomplishing something else, but my mind isn't having to be occupied with other things. So if you don't have the time to just take a few days off and have your own little private retreat, you can kind of do that. But if you do have the luxury of, sort of just not dealing with anything too major and stressing yourself out too much, if you do have that opportunity to kind of just be alone, and it's not about being lonely. It's just about, and it's not about cutting yourself off or anything. It's just about kind of dealing with yourself in a composed and tranquil way so that you can figure things out. And then the Knight of Cups is a very passionate, very charming knight who's also very good and a good, brave, strong knight, but a little bit more of a lover, not a fighter. I mean, yes, he is a knight, so he does have to go into battle, but he's also a passionate guy, and he can bring a message of passion or a message of love, and he can also remind you to be loving, to be, passionate about everything you want to be. Pisces, you guys are very deep, so I am sure that you already have great love in your life, and if you don't, I believe you will achieve it. But the Knight of Cups is here, and perhaps it's a person you actually know, and if not, maybe it's part of you. And the arrows of love. Now, here we've got the Knight of Cups, which could be a message of love. Here we've got the Eight of Wands, which is this fast-moving, active energy, which can mean something is rushing in. It could be anything that's rushing in. It could be a new job. It could be a new project. It could be anything under the sun. But it's often a love situation that you weren't expecting, and it just rushes in fast and furious. And, being that it's right here next to our passionate Knight of Cups, it wouldn't surprise me one bit. Then you've got the Fool, which is a fantastic card. A card of freedom, of knowing you're one with the universe, of being in your own element. There's youth, and it's a card of youthfulness, like waking up to the world. It's like all these magical, amazing feelings, and it's just a great card. It's a fantastic card, a fresh, youthful energy. It's there's just not enough good stuff I could say about the Fool. I love the card. And then we've got the Two of Pentacles, which is trying to balance something. Are you trying to balance life, just your home life and work, or your social life and home, or any of the gazillions of things that we have to balance on an everyday basis. So overall, a pretty good reading, Pisces, but don't stress about spilled cups, and don't torment yourself with these thoughts, and just, look at all the other great stuff you've got going. The Fool, potential love situation here, lots of opportunity, lots of prosperity, a lot of good stuff. So be happy. Have a wonderful April, and I hope to see you soon.